what's up guys? I want to talk to you guys today about what to say when we actually are prospecting. Now, I know I'm asking you guys a lot to hit the phones, go door knocking and things like that, but what are you exactly supposed to say when you go on your lead generation activity? So I wanted to focus today on what we should say when we are actually just cold calling a neighborhood. And I say cold calling loosely because what I'm really doing and what I'm asking you guys to do is just use the transactions that we have from the company and just prospect, letting them know about the new listing in the neighborhood or that we just sold the house in the neighborhood. Okay, so it's a really easy phone call. But again, what exactly do we say in order to make it a really good lead generation time for us, right? So I want to go over a few different closes and a few different scenarios and dialogues that we can use when we are making these phone calls, all right? All right, guys. Now, the whole goal of this is to kind of ease the anxiety, ease the stress that comes along with you guys probably already thinking, oh my God, AJ, I don't want to make these phone calls. So I really wanted to make it as easy as possible for you guys so you have a script or a dialogue to reference when you are making these phone calls. I'm not asking you to go in there and try to persuade anybody to change their mind. If they say no, hang up the phone politely and move on to the next phone call. That's it, okay? You don't have to change anybody's mind if they say no, they're not interested, or they don't know anybody that's interested. Move on to the next phone call. You've done your lead generation activity for that specific phone call. Now, is this the end all be all of all lead generation? Absolutely not. I do think it's a strategy that we need to implement, just because I know you guys want to be super successful, and by that we have to reach a mass amount of people. You got to talk to a lot of people in order to get yeses, which means you're going to get a lot of no's in these situations as well. All right. So the very first thing that we need to do when we're making that phone call is we have to identify ourselves. All right. TREC rules state that when we do any type of lead generation, meaning marketing or advertising, that we have to state who we are and what brokers that we're with. All right. So it sounds a little something like, hey, my name is AJ Abrams. I'm with Supreme One Realty. Literally, that's it. Before you move on to the meat and potatoes of what you want to say, very first thing that you need to do is identify yourself. Now, all right. Moving on to step number 2. That is basically to explain the reason why you're calling. Now, this is assuming that you got past them not hanging the phone up on you, okay? Now, fair warning, that will happen. As soon as you say who you are and what company you're with, you may hear a dial tone. And that's okay, because it happens to me all the time. That just means that they're not interested right now. Doesn't mean they just hate you or anything like that. That just means they didn't want to talk to you right then and there. And that's the attitude that you're probably going to have to take when you're doing this approach as far as lead generation. All you have to do is just call the next number and keep moving forward, all right? But step number 2 is you're just essentially explaining the reason for why you're calling. And that could be you just sold, meaning I just sold a house near you, or we, as in the company, just sold a house near you, okay? So definitely utilize that to your advantage whenever you're using this lead generation strategy, especially if you are wanting to get into a neighborhood that you really haven't done work in, but you want to make a footprint in there. Okay, definitely utilize the company's transactions to your advantage. All right, so that dialogue from identifying yourself all the way to where we're at right now for step number 2 and explain the reason for the call sounds a little like this. Hey, my name is AJ Abrams. I'm with Supreme One Realty. I wanted to give you a quick update about the neighborhood. We, Supreme One Realty, just sold a property near you, and I wanted to give you a quick update about it. All right, so that's essentially what you're saying for identifying yourself and explaining the reason for your call. All right, so we're moving on to step number 3, and that's essentially your call to action, kind of like your close. All right, so this is really stating the reason as far as why you're calling, not for them, but for you to enhance your business. Okay, and so your call to action is simply asking them, who of their neighbors do they know that may be interested in selling their house now or in the near future? Now remember, they probably already received phone calls like this in the past. So they're already thinking that you're going to be asking them if they are interested in selling their house. So we're going to ask that, but just not right away. We're asking them about their neighbors that may be interested, okay? So from identifying yourself to asking about your call to action sounds a little something like, hey, my name is AJ Abrams. I'm with Supreme One Realty. Wanted to give you a quick update about the neighborhood. We just had a transaction really close to you at 123 Main Street, and we still have quite a bit of people looking to move into the neighborhood. Who of your neighbors do you know that may be looking to buy or sell in the near future? I want to see if we can help some of these buyers out. All right. So that's essentially what you're saying from from identifying yourself all the way to your call to action. All right. Yeah. What happens if they actually say, yeah, my neighbor next door is looking to sell their house? Here's your opportunity to ask more questions. If you remember in the last training, we talked about question with curiosity. Here's your chance to do that again. So ask questions about, hey, do you happen to know where they're thinking about moving? Do you know about a time frame that you're looking into? A good question to ask, because again, you're looking for lead generation and you're looking to get information from this phone call, whether they're looking to sell now or in the near future, and you're looking for different ways to follow up. Is a good question to ask is, would they be offended if you provided me with their contact information so I could reach out to them directly? Okay, that's a great question to ask, simply because again, you want to make sure that you're making the most out of that phone call and getting some sort of information in order to extend your business and contact someone else. All right, now if they say no, I don't really know anybody looking to sell, here's your opportunity that comes back up about asking them, hey, have you considered selling your house in the near future? Okay, now listening to their answer for that will dictate how you respond. If they say yes, again, you question with curiosity. Okay, asking them, okay, great. Well, do you happen to have a plan of where you guys would be moving? What's your time frame? Why are you moving there? Why are you guys thinking about selling? Those kind of questions to keep the conversation going. Okay, if they say no, no worries. I know we're always not all thinking about real estate. Okay, and you just kind of soften the blow a little bit, not again because they said no, but you're going to keep the conversation going. Okay, so I'm going to go through it 2 different times. I'll go through it if they say yes, and I'll go through it if they say no. Okay, so all the way through, hey, my name is AJ Abrams. I'm with Supreme One Realty. Wanted to give you a quick update about the neighborhood. We just actually sold a property really close to you at 123 Main Street. Now, had a lot of people interested in that house. Unfortunately, only one person does get to buy the house, and so a lot of buyers left over. Who of your neighbors that do you know that may be interested in selling their house now or in the near future? Oh, Jason down the street may be interested. Perfect. Do you happen to know where he's looking to move? You listen. Awesome. Do you happen to know a time frame? Do you happen to know if they would be offended if you provided me with their contact information so I could reach out to them? I'd love to help. Okay. Now, seeing if they give you the information, hang up the phone call. That's great. You got what you needed out of that phone call. If you want to take it a step further, ask them, have you thought about selling your house in the near future? That way you can kind of maximize that one phone call and maybe could potentially get 2 listing appointments out of it. All right. Now, let's say that they say no. Hey, my name is AJ Abrams. I'm with Supreme One Realty. I wanted to give you a quick update about the neighborhood. We actually just sold a property really close to you at 123 Main Street. Had a lot of attention on it, so I just want to call and see if any of the homeowners in the neighborhood had any interest in selling their house. Do you happen to know of any of your neighbors that are interested? No? No worries. I know we're always not thinking about real estate, but have you considered selling your house in the near future? No? Okay, again, no worries. I know, again, a lot of people are not always actively thinking about real estate, but here's what you can do. Will you do me a favor? Okay, and then pause. We're going to move on to the next step right now because you're going to ask them for another favor. All right, now guys, remember your whole goal of this is to obtain information from that specific phone call, whether they're looking to sell now or at a later date, and it's just another way for you guys to follow up with them. Okay, and so your last step, essentially asking them for a favor, is where we left off. Now, what favor are we asking for right here? Okay, so there's 2 different things that I want you guys to ask right here. All right, the very first one is, hey, will you do me a favor? Do you mind if I leave you with my contact information? That way, if anybody ever approaches you about selling their house in the near future, you can just feel free to pass it along to them. I know it's always good to know someone that's already sold in the neighborhood before. Okay, so that's one favor that you're asking. Most of the time, they will agree and say, yeah, what's your contact information? And they may even be fake writing it down. It's fine. But you're just making an attempt to leave them with your contact information. But again, our whole goal is to get their contact information. Okay, so the other favor or other lasting impression that you want to leave with them is asking them one more question before you let them go. And that is, the dialogue kind of goes along the lines of, hey, I'm a homeowner myself. I know how important it is to have good neighbors. I know how important it is to know the values of your neighborhood. My company has this awesome tool called eProperty Watch, and what it is, it sends you an email once a month that tells you all the values of the neighborhood, even gives you some good information just for being a homeowner. Is that something that you'd be interested in receiving? Again, I know as a homeowner, it's always good to know the values of my neighborhood. I can sign you up, not gonna overload your inbox, 1 email a month, that way you can stay updated. Sound like something that you'd be interested in? Now, if they say yes, great. All you need is their email. You already have the phone number, you already have their address, you just need their email now. Okay, that way you can put them on a drip campaign and follow up with them at a later date. If they say no, thank them for their time and go on with the next phone call. Now, that sounds like a lot to say and maybe takes a long time. It doesn't. All that maybe takes about 2 to 3 minutes per phone call. All right. So again, that's something that I want you guys to implement. Practice, practice, practice. I'm pretty sure you guys noticed that I said something different every time that I went through it. But again, that's just it comes with practice. So when you're by yourself, practice. When you're in the car, practice. When you're by yourself with your dog, practice to them, so that when you are making those phone calls, it comes out fluently. It comes out as confidently as you guys want to come across. All right. So that is how you lead generate with prospecting for just sold and for just listed when you're calling neighborhoods. All right.